Hello and welcome to my review of the Foetid Bloat drone. Lovely looking model, quite sort of reminiscent of the other sort of bloat drones that Forge will do. Just heavily detailed. I think it's such a big upgrade from sort of the previous model that they had. I don't think they've ever had it in plastic. But yeah, lots of detail, very easy to put together, literally two halves, glue them together, front on the top, the three fans on, the two weapons and their holding mounts, and then glue it on the base. It takes a couple of minutes if that. Really nice looking model though, really sort of flows well with the whole sort of Nurgle aesthetic, and I like how you can glue him to the base using his own sort of cables. Up to you if you want to drill holes in there for the guns, but the way they're shaped, I mean, I suppose you could start cutting oval shapes in there. I glued the guns in place, but with a bit of modding you can have them either magnetised or moving about, but there you go. So yeah, great looking model. Size wise, well, here's a Primaris Space Marine, so it's quite tall. One could argue that it's the Dreadnought of the box set. I think they'd be happy for me to explain it as such. So yeah, it's quite tall. It's definitely the biggest model and tallest out of everything. Yeah, it is actually even bigger than Chunky McChunky himself. So there you go. Right, let's talk about the rules. So one of these Foetid Bloat drones, its movement, its characteristics change as it suffers damage. They've got this new thing that they're, I'd say, trialling out until they release 9th edition, coming soon next year, I suppose, whereby the more damage something takes, it lowers its strength, lowers its attacks, and it can't move as far. But it can still fire as many times as it wants, as the weapon profile allows. It doesn't run out of ammunition, or guns don't get jammed or anything like that, but there we go. So it's got 10 wounds, which is a fair amount of wounds, and it's toughness 7. So yeah, it's got, it's a demon engine. It's got a lot of wounds and it's quite high toughness, certainly more than any other units on the board. I think the highest toughness is 5. I think even McChunky Nuggets has 5, not 6. So that's quite a high toughness to be put up against. If it's got between 6 and 10 wounds, then its movement is 10, so it's fast. Strength is 6 and its attacks are 3. If it's 3 to 5 wounds, it moves 8 inches. Strength is cut by 1, so it's 5, and it gets 2 attacks. And then if it's only got 1 to 2 wounds, it's really in trouble. It can only move 6 inches, which is still the same speed as a Space Marine, and it's got strength 4 and then 8 attacks 1. It's alright as long as it sort of loses sort of half its wounds and then it gets into trouble. It's got the disgustingly resilient rule, which again, 5 or 6, that's fine. Putrid Explosion. If it's reduced to 0 wounds, you roll a dice before removing the model. On a 4+ it explodes, and each unit within 7 inches suffers 1 mortal wound. Each unit. I don't think it's each model, each unit. So that's not too bad. So Demonic, it's got a 5+ invulnerable. It's got 3+ normal, 5+ invulnerable. Obviously, 5 or 6 it can ignore the wound itself. Now the weapons that it's got, these two weapons here are called Plague Spitters. The range is 9 inches, so quite short range unfortunately. Assault D6, the strength is the user, which will be 6 if it's still got all of its wounds. Its AP is -1 and its damage is 1. It is a plague weapon, and apparently it automatically hits its target. There's no need to make hit rolls. So you're getting possibly up to 6 shots at strength 6 that automatically hit, which is just great. Sort of makes you wonder why it's got ballistic skill at all. Then it's got a plague probe. Sounds very dirty. AP is -2, damage is D3, and it's a plague weapon. So it's got 2 plague spitters, so pretty much you could have up to 12 shots of strength 6, which is quite good actually. And points wise, one of those will set you back 143 points. I think that's fine. I think that's about right for a model like that. You can only have one though in a unit, so you can't have like a squad of 3 of them or anything. But it is, I'm sort of really tempted to say monstrous creature, but it is a demon. Okay, that's all I wanted to say about this model. What do you guys think it is? I think it's a really cool little model. I think it'll whip about sort of 10 inches, fires sort of 12 shots or however many you can get out of him. You know, and even in combat, it's not too bad with that plague weapon. Quite resilient too with those 10 wounds. And that is the end of my review of the Foetid Bloat drone. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.